Yo, what's up YouTube? My name's R.O. and this is my affirmation video from the book 3 Feet from Gold through the Napoleon Hill Foundation. I wrote it here, my journal, basically just copied the book as affirmations. And this is chapter 8. We're on Stop Planning. You can see all my other videos. This is just a continuance of that. This is chapter 8, Stop Planning. I'm just going to read it to you. I hope you listen and collect a lot of information. This is chapter 8, Stop Planning, and my name's R.O. Stop planning. A car awaited him outside the main terminal. Greg had to smile. The car was painted to look like a cow, and he had a distinctive sign that read, "Eat more chicken." As it pulled away from the curb with Greg inside, tourists took the pictures of the carefully painted vehicle and pointed them at the words of the sign. Greg realized that he was about to meet a true legend, someone he had read about for years and had always admired. Pulling up to the gate of the large corporate campus, he experienced a childlike excitement. It reminded him of the thrill he had felt when his father took him to his first baseball game. The sign there read, "Welcome to Chick-fil-A," and what a welcoming sight it was. Animals roamed the 70-acre compound. Many of the giants around the lake were blooming. I said giants. Giant trees were blooming, and people strolled about the ground. Greg still couldn't believe that Buckland had set up a meeting for him. The one and only Truett Cathy, a great humanitarian and self-made billionaire fast food marketer. He was credited with inventing the chicken sandwich. I suppose that's why Mr. Buckland wanted me to bring me back one, Greg thought. Even though he wasn't much of a reader, Greg had actually read some of Truett Cathy's books. And there it was again, Buckland's books about what you read and the people you meet. He also heard that Cathy had stopped giving interviews to anyone who had Buckland arranged this, and more importantly, when Cathy was willing to grant the request to meet with him. Excitingly, the colorful car was visiting and showed the security station he was picturing himself in. It has taken a special VIP guest created for him. All 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 created for him. A friendly guide led him to the elevator. When they received the top floor, Greg was greeted by another cheerful assistant. "Mr. Cathy is expecting you. Please follow me." Greg couldn't help but notice the enormous glass ceiling stretching from the entire length of the 5-story structure. He was almost giddy with anticipation. The guide led him to the office of the 87-year-old business legend. "Hello there, young man," Mr. Cathy said. "Come on in and sit down." As Greg took a chair, he reviewed his surroundings. The office walls were decorated with memorabilia and family photos, but what stood out was a poster on the wall, a mountain climber reaching the summit. His attention was also drawn to the Horatio Horatio Award on the desk. He reviewed This is my video. He saw the tribute in the business world. Members of the Horatio Association, distinguished Americans of a select group of individuals with a wide spectrum of life experiences. Similar to the characters in the stories by the Horatio Association, members traditionally have started within humble or economically challenging circumstances. Despite this early adversity, many say because of it, they have worked with great diligence to achieve success and to fulfill their dreams. "So tell me, how may I serve you?" Cathy asked, drawing Greg out of his thoughts. There it was again, an explicit offer to be of service by another successful businessman. It seemed to him that the people he was meeting possessed the desire to reach and to help others. "I'm honored to have this opportunity to learn from." Jumping right in his unusual blunt style, Greg asked, "What's your secret to success?" Cathy's head tilted to the side. He smiled in an abruptly manner to the question. "Stop planning so much," was his answer. "What?" Greg blurted. "Stop planning so much," Cathy repeated. "That goes against everything I have heard or was taught." Greg said, "I'm sure it does, but You asked what it worked for, and I told you. Kathy said, it's like this, young man, whatever you do, you have to do your goal and a destination in mind. Keep it in mind, all in mind. Keep everything in mind. It's in your mind. But once again, you set your sights where you're going, just move towards that direction. Have faith that you will get there and how it will work itself out. With all due respect, Mr. Kathy, I hear that you're saying, but it's hard for me to believe. True, Kathy leaned over towards his young visitor. You seem like a pretty sharp fellow, and last year I bet you had a lot of plans. Greg agreed with a nod. How many of those plans worked out for you? Greg's face went blank as he reflected over the past 365 days. In truth, nothing has gone as planned. In fact, he had been on a downward slide, driving during that time. Financially speaking, now please understand that you may achieve some end result from the time to the time, meaning you may hit a goal, but you may intend to reach it probably differed from the reality. Quickly, Greg realized that this observation had to go into his notepad. Stop over planning. Kathy went. Let me give you an example. Say you have a goal getting to the end of your street. That's the start because you have set yourself a goal. Then what you need to do is leave on the house and start moving in that direction. It is simple as that. Now, if you stick a specific plan, take 2 steps, pause, and so on, you actually miss all of the unexpected opportunities around you. Opportunities, Greg said. Absolutely. You see, while people who plan their path and are focusing on the steps and the breaths they take, a guy like me is looking to see if a kid left his bicycle or skateboard out to make my journey shorter. I don't plan for that. I just keep my eyes open for them. Greg smiled at the image of the 87-year-old on a skateboard. I totally get that. You have a destination in mind, move towards it, then seek opportunities to assist you along the way. Exactly. And if you really are lucky, a neighbor may drive by and let you hitch a ride. And you can even be there in no time. Greg sat in silence for a moment before jumping back in with another question. Are you saying you never planned on your success? I didn't plan for Chick-fil-A to happen. It just did. Sure, I had the end in mind, but I had no idea where it was going to happen or how it was going to happen. When I got out of the Army, I opened the Dorf Grill in 1946 that developed the pressure-cooked chicken machine sandwich, and it opened up the first Chick-fil-A restaurant in Atlanta. Like I said, I just kept pursuing towards the vision with the faith in the process on how it opened up, and it will open up. And it opened up to me. Kathy then said, want to take a tour? I would love it. Greg rose from his chair and followed his host into the hallway. I saw that picture of the mountain climber in your office where you're a thrill seeker back in the day, sort of, but the picture is more a reminder and a symbol of what you have created here. Kathy replied, the climber represents my business life, not being afraid to conquer any challenge, no matter how high, no matter how steep. It also reminds me to dream big and never stop short of reaching the top. It also represents the way I do things. Greg scribbled, dream big, everything comes out your lips. Dream big and never stop short of reaching the top. Then he asked, do what exactly? As you may know, a mountaineer will take great risks to get the next level towards his goal. That's me. Yet he has to be careful not to risk his life by not having a lifeline and other support. Lifeline? Yes. Every 20 feet or so, the climber ascends to tie himself off to the mountain so that if he slips or makes a careless move, he'll not plummet to the bottom. He just falls a few feet from where he last secured himself. That makes sense, Greg said. Looking back, I sure wish I have done that in my own life. It seems I am an all or nothing sort of guy. In the notebook, he wrote, climb safe, but climb to the top. Kathy watched him write. It's okay to take huge leaps in life. In fact, to get ahead, you have to. It's also okay not to bet from every decision you make. Give yourself a little breathing room. He pointed to the entrance of the building. Down here is my car collection. Greg's eyes lit up like a kid in a candy store. He pinched himself because he was in awe that True Kathy was showing him around his collection of antique automobiles. Each one was from a year that was presented to him in a milestone in his life. Kathy explains the significance of each vehicle while offering details about the cars themselves. He was passionate about each one. The one car that did not represent a significant year was the Batmobile. The car was from the movie Batman Returns. It was purchased at an auction simply because Mr. Cathy liked the idea of owning all of you. A bit of Hollywood history. Excuse me. It was yet another example of attraction versus commitment. The Batmobile was a toy, while the others had true meaning to his life. The two continued their stroll, making their way into the company lunchroom. "You hungry?" Cathy asked. He indicated the food gallery ahead. It was the best buffet Greg had ever laid his eyes on. Everything from pizza and pasta and sandwiches and lemonade. "Help yourself," the entrepreneur offered. "I see you have everything you can want," Greg said, "but I don't see a cash register." Raising his hand to shield his mouth, Cathy whispered in his visitor's ear, "It's only one thing we left out." Cathy smiled and grew. "My company is focused on the people more than its profits. We keep the restaurants closed on Sundays and have our innovative approach to training our store managers, and we offer college scholarships to our employees." We believe if we support our people, they will make the business successful, and they have. Greg wrote, "Focus on your people more than your profits." As he jotted down the message, Greg remembered his mentor's request. "Mr. Buckland asked me to bring him a sandwich. I suppose I should try it for myself since I am here. I love your strips, but I've never tried a sandwich." "Let's do something about that then." Mr. Cathy headed toward the kitchen. "This is the best right here. Then right now. Grab a fresh buttered bun, put his famous chicken strips on it. You've got to have the pickles. It's what makes it good." Truett handed the completed masterpiece to his visitor, who immediately sampled it. His host was right. The pickle did make the sandwich. While they ate, the two men resumed their tour of the headquarters. A question popped into Greg's mind and immediately out of his mouth. "Did you ever hang out with the Colonel?" "I did. He was sitting at the counter eating a Chick-fil-A sandwich." The grill man asked him, "No, Colonel, isn't that the best chicken you have ever eaten?" And a sly Colonel Sanders response, "Second best, Cathy's." Yes, Greg's laughter joined in a humorous chorus. As Greg left his incredible interview, he dialed his phone. "You'll never guess who I spoke to today." "That's actually me," Greg said excitedly. He called David to check in, hoping there might be some good news on his brother's end. His silence told him everything he needed to know, and what he dreaded. One of the most successful businessmen in America. Good for you, bro. The last time they had seen each other face to face had been almost 6 months before. They had met at one of David's favorite bars. Dinner never came up. Greg had left after 2 hours. He had managed 3 club sodas, 2 Davis 6s, or was it 7? Or scotches, or Greg, or how do you lie about his business success? Insisted on paying the tab and driven his brother home. And all the evening was a waste, and he had just about given up on David at that point, and all the hopes and dreams and all they could ever imagine as college students and young adults gave up in smoke. But at last, Greg was pursuing his dream, even though the business was hanging up on a thread. He said, "What's going on? I mean, really, man, I can't talk to you anymore." David said nothing. Greg could hear the tinkle and the ice. Probably as David lifted up his lips. It was a little thing, a stupid thing, but the sound of that ice sparked a rage in Greg's eyes, and heart and soul he ended up on the call. All the thought of his great day with the true Cathy and the life-changing path John Buckland had laid out before him vanished. He felt sick and helpless. And hopeless, yet suddenly, as if a spark of divine inspiration, Greg realized it was not his job to save David, but only to offer the help that he could. The opportunity was to his brother to accept the opportunity or not, just as Greg had walked through the door that Buckland had opened before him. Well, that was chapter 8 from the book 3 Feet from Gold through the Napoleon Hill Foundation, related to Think and Grow Rich. That was chapter 8. Let me take it back to the future really quick before we take it back. Okay, we're on Stop Planning. That was chapter 8, Stop Planning. And I hope you're listening with your ears to what I had to say. And my name's R.O. And this is how you do it. Right here. But anyways, I hope you're listening. My name's R.O. and I'll talk to you later.